My ladies, lords and mages, if you have ever felt torn between multiple styles and aesthetics of clothing, you have come to the right place. I feel like I have so many different loves of different styles, and there are definitely loads of styles that I absolutely love, like vintage clothes or gothic clothes. They can be somewhat uncomfortable, and that always felt like this barrier to me into entering these worlds, so I always used to keep my clothes relatively plain. And since starting my sewing journey, I've really learnt that I can now just make things however I want to make them and make them as comfortable as I want to make them. Developed a serious love for 70s fashion because, I mean, it's gorgeous, so enough said. Because so many of the styles just lean towards being comfortable, not to mention the very obvious fantasy and medieval Renaissance kind of overlap in a lot of that style too, which is very cool. And the cherry on top of 70s fashion is a lot of it very much naturally leans into going gothic and witchy, which brings us to today's project. I have been playing around with the idea of making some 70s Whimsigoth clothes for a while now, and I have decided that now is the time to finally do it. Primarily because I'm actually currently working on my Wicked Elphaba project. It's very much falling behind. I've had a monstrous cold this past week that has had me bedridden. Elphaba's dress video was meant to be published 2 days from now, and the dress is it's not even a dress yet, so it's definitely not ready. Jumping in with a quick one-day make project. Buy myself some more time to work on Elphaba, with the added bonus of I'm going to treat myself to a 70s Whimsigoth outfit at the same time. If you are new to this channel and a fan of Wicked, feel free to subscribe so you can see me tackle this ruffled monstrosity. I'm only insulting it now because it's causing me grief, but I genuinely love this dress and cannot wait to actually have this thing done and to wear it. I really hope it turns out well. Back to this project, let's talk design. I'm gonna shuffle over so that I can put it on the screen with me. Design. My main objective for this was that I really wanted one of those long 70s style vests. And sure, I could have stopped there. I could have reminded myself to be sensible and that the only reason I'm making this project is so that I can do a video in 2 days. We all know that I didn't do that because I also want to make the dress to go underneath. This is going to have some very classic 70s shapes. As a whole outfit, I very much want it to feel 70s witch. With the dress just by itself, I am so leaning into 70s horror film vibes. Because they just hold such a special place in my heart, I can't not. So this is really a 2-in-1 video. I literally sat and planned this entire project last night. No fabric shopping has taken place. We are working from ye old stash. For the base 70s cliche horror dress, we are going to be using some scraps from the wedding dress. Some of the silk I used as the foundation layer left over, and I've got just about enough to use that as the foundation layer on this dress as well. And then for the top layer, I have this fabric, which partially see-through. It's quite a thick one though, it's got a good texture to it and a good drape to it, so it should look cool. And that was also part of that massive collection of white fabrics that I hoarded when I was planning my wedding dress. I am making a very, very small dent in that collection by making this dress. For the vest to go over the top, I'm going to be using some of my black rose velvet fabric, which I absolutely adore. I last used this on the bodice for my peasant Aurora look back in my baby days of the channel. I think it will make a really cool vest. I would show it to you, but I left it upstairs, so here's a picture. And I thought about doing some patchwork or some paneling on it, but overall I think I really do just want a big dramatic vest of just this beautiful floral velvet, so I think I'm just going to stick with it as it is. I do, however, have some potential ideas to accessorize it and witchify it a little bit, which could be cool. We will see. Let's go slash some fabric. I think everyone needs to be proud of me because look what I did. I bought big girl scissors. No more using the baby ones. Very excited to use my new fabric scissors. I set off to work cutting out all of the pieces for my white dress. There was just enough leftover silk to get the skirt panels I needed, but I did have to cut them out separately rather than folding the fabric like I usually do. For the sleeves, I used the same pattern I used for the Briar Rose outfit I did last year. I wanted the bishop sleeve to be a decent size, so I cut very generously around the pattern to give me a lot of extra fabric to work with. I actually messed up cutting out the fabric for the cuffs. I was meant to cut it on a fold, but I completely just didn't even think to. So when I thought I was giving myself extra fabric by cutting generously around it, I was actually giving myself just barely enough to make it work. And finally for the bodice, I reused the pattern that I threw together when I was making my Bridgerton night dress, and frankly it's a stretch to call this thing a pattern. I started by stitching the silk skirt panels together, and for anyone here who watched my wedding dress video, you'll be aware of how much of a nightmare this fabric is to work with. I did buy a walking foot after having the problems last time, but I didn't actually use it here. My logic was I'm in a rush and I don't know how to use a walking foot yet, and I didn't want to lose loads of time figuring that out. Plus this was the base fabric, and if I made any mistakes you weren't going to see it anyway. Enjoy my mannequin being filmed like it's a character from The Office. Anyway, I was happy with the fit. I'm not really good at understanding how patterns work when there's gathering involved, so I decided it would be quicker for me to drape the fashion layer directly onto the mannequin and hand stitch in some gathers there. Very antisocial so far. I'm in this combination of trying to really focus because I've got so much to do so quickly, combined with I still feel really ill. I still definitely have flu brain and I'm not all that coherent today, to be honest. Like, I'm hoping I can edit the intro down to make sense, but I will tell you right now, that was a 30-minute long clip of me rambling because I had to keep repeating stuff because I knew I wasn't making sense. Got the fashion layer of the bodice pretty much in a complete state. I'm gearing up to attach the skirt layers to be able to assemble the sleeves and get those attached too. At that point, the dress will pretty much be in a single piece that I can start doing all of the finishing touches like the bias tape and the lining and yada yada yada. This is the other reason I'm not being social. It is genuinely wearing me out so much to talk. I'm not well. Let's go back to some silent sewing. In silent sewing mode, I pin the two skirt layers together and then pin those directly onto the bodice. Very glad this is finally looking like an actual thing. Get stitched down. Then we'll move on to sleeves. You know, I really hope the vest comes together very quickly because the dress is not, and time is getting on. For once, these sleeves were actually very simple to do. I usually hate doing sleeves. I started by closing up the sides and then putting the cuffs together. I then moved on to hand gathering the bottom of both sleeves and then machine those onto the cuffs that I'd made. Finally, I gathered the top of each sleeve and attached them to the shoulders. I hit some issues with the zip. It turns out I put the skirt on a little bit wonky, so the center closure was in fact not in the center. And somewhere along the line, I lost the seam allowance on my skirt too, because there was absolutely no extra fabric to add a zip. This did stump me for a moment. I considered adding a little extra fabric panel in the back. I considered doing a lace-up back instead. Ultimately, I decided I was way too tired for any of that and just very appallingly stitched the zip directly on top of the back, as that was the only way I could get the fabrics to join up with each other. It is no secret that I am not a perfectionist because this was my worst botch yet. As the last step on the dress, I pinned and machined some silk bias tape to the neckline to finish it off neatly. I considered extending the bias tape down the back to cover the zip a little bit, but ultimately I just didn't. And about here you can see my internal debate of starting the vest or going to bed. Now entering the depths of the night and using my last strands of coherent 4, I pulled the velvet out and got to work on improvising a pattern. I thought life would be easier if I simply extended the vest pattern I used for one division. 'Twas not. I definitely screwed it up in my ill brain-dead state, but I'm getting ahead of myself, we'll get there. Anybody else chant I do believe in fairies whenever they need the will to live for just a little bit longer, because that is exactly what is happening here. Heading back upstairs to the machine, I quickly whipped my darts in. I I then laid out my back panels, and here is where I screwed everything up. My plan was to use the waistcoat pattern on top and then add a large rectangle pleated to the size of the back panel on the bottom, so this would create a really cool Agatha-esque style shape for the back. Unfortunately, I did do that a little bit too literally, because it wasn't until I attached all of the panels together and put it on the mannequin did I realise that the really cool pleats I made come from my butt instead of from my waist. Because I forgot to shorten the waistcoat panel, I literally just used its full length and then stuck the rectangle directly onto the bottom of it. Luckily, the vest still looks great and its swooshability is top tier, but it probably would have been more flattering if it extended from my waist instead of from my butt. Oh well, live and learn. I was too tired to fix it. It was midnight by this point. Which brings us to the results. From the moment I put this on, Season of the Witch has just been playing in my head repeatedly. I love this outfit so very much. I'm still feeling a little bit ill, but this is exactly what I needed to lift my spirits. The results were fun to shoot as well. It was fun to dress the living room up all 70s like. We also tried to dot a few little Alphabet Oz Easter eggs in those as well. Don't know if you noticed, we weren't subtle. It's not exactly finished because Velvet Vest needs bias tape put around all the edging, which I currently haven't done. I do have loads of black bias tape, but I bought it for Alphabet and I'm very paranoid about using it for this and then running out for Alphabet. I'm gonna get her done first and then I'll circle back and put bias tape on this. And I'm sure, no doubt, some of you have noticed, I also did not hem the dress because I'm lazy. I'll get to it at some point. Also, now that I'm wearing it, the mistake with the waistcoat really doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would, so I think I'm happy to just leave it. And the dress itself, when I just wear it on its own, oh my god, it is the most beautiful thing ever. I might love it more than my wedding dress. It hits the vibe. It's 70s horror vibe. It's the Vampires of Venice. It's so good. Thank you so much for watching along. I'm aware this video hasn't been my usual style and format because I've been ill and also rushing. I promise I will be a lot more interactive in my next video. And I am so very, very excited to share Alphabet with you. I am obviously working on it in the background, as I already mentioned. It should be coming in a couple of weeks now. It is gonna be so cool. I just hope I can do it justice. I hope you enjoyed 70's Witch Whimsigoth. I sure as hell did. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not already. Feel free to leave me a comment down below, and I will see you all in my next video, where I may or may not be painting myself green. Really quick, dress by itself, because I know someone's gonna ask. I love it. I've got to ask, do I sound ill? Because I'm trying really hard not to, but I feel like I just sound ill. Oh, this should be a fun day.